Biden officials reportedly discuss gaps in cryptocurrency rules in response to wild pipes price strings. Yes, that's right. The Biden administration is suddenly interested in Bitcoin and possible gaps of oversight in the crypto market where more regulation might be required in order to prevent Bitcoin from funding illicit or terrorist activities. Once again, we're back at terrorism. Josh Segala, even though report after report shows that Bitcoin does not fund terrorism, they're still using it as a generic disadvantage against Bitcoin. When will this stop? When will they give up on linking Bitcoin and terrorism?
Never. It'll be a thing that just keeps on going. It'll be like the perpetual motion machine you thought was impossible. The thing with Bitcoin is that I constantly roll Bitcoin up if I want to snort anything. Oh yeah, I can't. I have to use fiat. That's right. So fiat. Why aren't they talking about fiat and illicit drugs? Why aren't they talking about US dollars and illicit drugs? Surely there's gaps funding. By the way, I'm just wondering, where are the receipts for the rockets that Hezbollah have, for all the amazing weaponry in Syria? What about all the stuff? I mean, how do they buy this stuff? I'm pretty sure it's all cash. It's all cash, folks. There is no other way of paying this stuff. They don't pay it with crypto. And there has been there's been huge reports actually done by the state that come out and in the end they say pretty much zero. Well, I think it's definitively zero has been used in a terrorist organization. So this whole thing, maybe if there's one terriblest out there using the evil cryptocurrency, then it'll get headlines like there's no tomorrow. Yet all the others are using fiat currency issued by the state. Where's Biden on that one?
I agree with Josh here. It's just as difficult for Bitcoiners and gun runners to take Bitcoin as it would be for Overstock to take Bitcoin. It's the same chicken and the egg problem. Sure, Overstock wants to take Bitcoin. Your average terrorist wants to use Bitcoin, right? But the problem is they go to their supplier who supplies the guns to them, or Overstock gets the widgets, and they say, hey, supplier, will you take Bitcoin? And they say, no, we like cash. We like cold, hard cash. We like pallets of it. And I'm talking about American cash here, not other kinds of cash. No funny colored money here. Greenbacks, even if they're white. But yes, they only take cash. It would be amazing if they took Bitcoin. They would have developed a whole system, a whole ecosystem, vertically integrated, taking Bitcoin up and down the scale. It would be an economic miracle. We could study it in school. But it's pallets of cash that were lost in Iraq, pallets of cash that handle most large arms sales, most large drug sales, except those on the Silk Road. Dan, Eve, pallets of cash.
I think that Bitcoin is going to be around for the foreseeable, and there's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. China's a good example of that, mainly because a lot of the mining used to be centered in China. Obviously, it's more decentralized now. But we're going to see this roller coaster of we're banning, we're not banning, and for whatever reason, it flips between it's mainly we're losing control all the time, but then it's poised as it's non-carbon, it's non-environment friendly, or it provides terrorism with or other illicit activities with the means to transact. But let's be honest, imagine if there was just picture this. There's no Bitcoin, there's no fiat, there's no gold, or at least there's gold, but we don't even know what it does. We're like, oh, what does gold do? And we had goats, we transact in goats. People are going to do illegal stuff with goats. And I'm not talking touching the goats. I'm talking trading them we're going to trade goats. Okay, cool. What you want for this gun? You're going to have 100 goats. Fantastic. Whatever you use, there's going to be a value proposition in there that someone's going to use it, whether it's goats, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's the US dollar. it does kind of seem that because the US dollar is such a global currency, I'm not trying to point fingers here, but it's probably, you'd say, probably the most illicitly used currency in the world. If you were to say, what could be the most, like, it would probably be the dollar. But they could, for example, they could do some research out of this and think of good things. They wanted to fund the American Families Plan. Maybe they'll think to themselves, right, instead of auctioning the Bitcoin that we confiscate, like the feds confiscate, like the 40 million worth that the Tim Draper bought years ago, like, which is worth billions now, they could just not, when they confiscate it, they just not sell it and hodl and then own a part of it. Maybe even Joe's being, what's the word? He's being briefed on the fact that my little conspiracy theory that it was the CIA that invented Bitcoin, and that little 1 million Satoshi stash is the hedge against the dollar being decoupled and not used as the world reserve currency, as we're seeing with Russia saying 185 billion of their funds are now going to be taken out of dollar-related activities, maybe because they decided it was illicit. I don't know. Nobody knows. But the fact is that Bitcoin is uncensorable, and they'll try and censor it as much as possible. They'll try and hit the on-ramps and the off-ramps, but ultimately it's unstoppable. It's this multi-headed ninja snake that, it's whack-a-mole. You try and hit one mole, but the mole's going to pop up somewhere else as long as the servers are going. So yeah. I think there's actually some positives that are going to come out of this, because if logically you're to sit and do a proper analysis of Bitcoin, and you're going to find the pitfalls of Bitcoin, obviously, but also the benefits of it. And I think that anyone who's got a logical head on them will come around and actually think, okay, yeah, Bitcoin makes sense. So I actually see it as a positive. The more they investigate, the more they delve into it, they look at all the detail. They may come up with an OBDC, or CBDC, the central bank digital currency, but then they'll probably just think Bitcoin's better. And whoever designs the CBDC will be sat there going, yeah, we're designing this CBDC. And they're like going, we're designing this shitcoin, but Bitcoin's actually the real thing. So all of that, and that information is going to proliferate and disseminate to the rest of the world, and Bitcoin will become eventually the world currency, but only after it nukes everything, like the guy said.
Well, it's a lot like Andreas used to say, if you can't buy drugs and hookers with goats, it's probably not a very good currency. You should probably use something else. And that's always been what's so great about Bitcoin, is you can buy anything you want. Moving on to the exit question in the FUD Tournament of Champions. Josh Shigala, what would you choose? Bitcoin uses too much energy, or Bitcoin funds terrorism?
In the FUD wars, if I was like elite scumball, I'd definitely use terrorism and all this illicit stuff, because as soon as you say, the illicit thing, then no one can go against it, because then you might be a terriblest.
Dan Eve, take the other side. Bitcoin uses too much energy and is destroying the world. Much worse than terrorism.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the green issue is the major thing at the moment. I think it's the prominent kind of the prominent FUD. It wouldn't surprise me if we see actually censorship being turned around and becoming a major FUD thing. There's still murmurs every now and then. You see an article pop up that says, "Did you know that back in like 2014 or something that someone hashed a child porn site on there, and that shit may come back up, and they say, well, it's permanently there and therefore it's permanently bad." So there could be something about the censorship, and this is a good day to talk about it because of the whole Tiananmen Square thing, and also and more randomly the armored tank thing I saw going around. Someone was tweeting about that, some sort of dude that was like, the government like blocked off my thing and then fined me for it, so he went around with a tank. Anyway, yeah, the censorship's bad, Bitcoin good.